Daniel has to learn that he can't use his abilities. He is protecting his property. They got him into this mess, and you can't, that's true. You can't constantly use your power to fix mistakes you've made. Like, Daniel and Finn as a unit messed up, and if they get to walk out of this scot-free and not learn something from this, it's not gonna be helpful. So, I mean, yeah, I feel like you made your bed, you gotta lie on it. You made your bed, you gotta lie on it and accept the consequences.
Man, Meryl, just listen. Please, boss. I know. I got greedy. I was high, stupid.
Yeah.
I'll make it up.
I know, Finn. You will.
He did shoot him.
No.
He did shoot him.
No. No.
Danny, don't look. Look at me. No. Listen.
Oh, Daniel's about to go crazy.
No. No.
What is this?
Daniel's about to go crazy.
Daniel. Stop.
It's your fault. She's changed you.
Daniel, listen. No, Daniel, don't. I'm so sorry.
Fuck. Lift it up.
That was a way to end the episode. I didn't want Finn to die. I didn't want him to die. Never seen that. Ooh, never seen that way before. Ouch. Hopefully Daniel doesn't run off. I hope not either. That was definitely a ridiculously tragic ending. Well, that escalated. No, quickly, but intense. And I mean, like, she hasn't changed me. Cassie hasn't really affected me in any way. I didn't get a tattoo from her, even though she asked me twice. I didn't go swimming with her. This seems really messed up, because, like, I have clearly shown that Cassie has no control over me. She hasn't done anything, hasn't changed me in any way. So that's what really upsets me about this episode, is like, I've done virtually everything to suggest that Cassie had zero effect on Sean, and yet Daniel somehow thinks that she has, which makes no sense to me. Daniel meant to time the episode with her. Still, like, the stuff that happened in this episode still counts. I think that should still matter, and it should still count. Otherwise, why are they even decisions in the first place? And they took the money anyway. Did they just take the money anyway? Sean's still there. We've had it very rough. This is a very rough episode for us, Sean. Very rough episode for us. So he has a shard in his left eye. Ooh, that was a very harsh ending. That was not easy. And so Sean became a Cyclops. Yeah. So let me lower the volume. That was really tragic, and my ending was probably a lot harsher than many people's endings. And that's okay. It's alright. I don't have to have nearly the best ending, and I might have gotten the worst ending, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. I still stand by my decisions throughout this episode. I still do, because for me, it's important, like I said, for Daniel to learn that he shouldn't rely on his powers to get him out of situations that he placed himself into. Yes, he's just a kid, and Finn messed up and should not have encouraged him and enabled him to do stuff, but like, Daniel can't have it both ways. Daniel can't have it both ways. He can't want to be an adult and still be relying on the excuse of, oh, you're just a kid. So it's, so we can overlook that because you're just a kid. Like, Daniel, you're either an adult or you're just a kid. Do you want me to treat you like you're an adult? Or do you want me to say, oh, well, you're just a kid, so I can overlook things that you're doing that might not be optimal? You can't have it both ways, Daniel. You have to pick one or the other. And so I think that's the problem, and that's the hardest part of growing up, really, is figuring out the balance and being able to shift from, adults and other people excusing you for things because you're just a kid versus treating you like an adult because you want to be treated like an adult and you don't want people to treat you like a kid. But you got to prove that you're making mature decisions for yourself and that you take responsibility for and you accept the consequences of your actions. So it was important for me to try to teach Daniel that if you make poor decisions and you put yourself in these dire situations, you shouldn't do that because you think my powers are just going to save me anyway. It's like telling Max from episode 1, it's saying, hey, Max, you should go in there and rob that bank. And if you mess up, you can just rewind time. And that might be true. That could be very true. She could go and rob a bank. And then if something messes up, she could just rewind time and nobody would ever know. But there's something moral about that that's bothersome. That's abusing your power. And fortunately, Max didn't really go that way. But that's what I'm afraid of with Daniel, is I want him to learn that even people who are as powerful as him with powers, there's still consequences for your actions, and you still have to understand that there's consequences. And the unfortunate thing is, you pray and hope that when you make really stupid decisions, really, really stupid decisions, you pray and hope that it doesn't lead to something fatal. You pray because it might. And in this case, unfortunately, it resulted in something fatal. And that sucks a lot. And probably wasn't fair either. I would definitely argue that the punishment definitely did not fit the crime. But that's not the point. The point is whether the punishment fit the crime. The point is we wouldn't even be in that situation had both Daniel and Finn made different choices. Daniel would not have been in that situation had he made other choices. And yeah, we could say that, well, he was high, but I'm like, well, maybe he shouldn't have been high. I mean, to put it bluntly, maybe you shouldn't have been high, because maybe if you were not high, you might have maybe thunk clear, and therefore not put yourself into that situation. It's like, I'm sorry, I know I got drunk, but then I got into that car and now somebody's dead. But I was drunk. That's my excuse. my explanation, to put it bluntly, maybe you shouldn't have gotten drunk and gotten to that car. I mean, you can't hide behind your alcohol problem and think that that's going to make it any better. So that was the thing, is Finn was sort of hiding behind Daniel's power and abusing Daniel's power and saying, well, Daniel could have saved me. He should have saved me. Well, he could have. Maybe he should have. But then, like, but then, yeah, you would have lived to tell another day, and then he might do something really dumb and stupid later, and then got himself shot sometime later because Daniel wasn't around to save him. It's a terrible, terrible, tragic end. Obviously, I didn't want anyone to die. Obviously, I didn't want anything bad to happen to Finn to that extreme. But he messed up. And he made a stupid mistake, a very greedy, stupid mistake. And hopefully, 99.9% of the time, when you do a really grave, stupid mistake, it doesn't lead to your death. But there is that 0.1% where it can. And that's just the way life is, unfortunately, sometimes. Life is strange, too, like that. But rest in peace to Finn. My overall thought of this episode was very mixed, as you can tell. Not because of the ending that I got. That has nothing to do with it. Because I was fine with the ending. I was just not okay with how things escalated the way they did. Like, I did really well, for example, on cutting up those, I was about to call them Brussels sprouts because they looked like Brussels sprouts. They're not Brussels sprouts. The marijuana. And yet there was still the conflict with Daniel. And I did everything in my power to spend time with Daniel, like a lot of time to spend time with Daniel and to respect Daniel and not to make Daniel angry and more upset if I could avoid it. And also made it a point to not be overly infatuated with Cassie, or did a lot of stuff with Cassie, or went along with virtually anything that Cassie said or wanted me to do. And that didn't seem to matter as much, but I'm sure somebody in the chats is going to explain to me how it does matter and how it did matter. But it didn't feel that way while I was playing the game. So that is something that I'm a little disappointed in, is that it just didn't feel like it mattered. And even though I had spent a lot of time trying to form an understanding with Daniel, he still was ticked off at the end. It didn't seem to matter. He still was like, F you, Sean. This is her fault. This is your fault. It seemed the same. Now, I haven't seen it the other way around. I haven't seen it like if I didn't go to bed at the same time with Daniel, or if I responded to certain things with him throughout the episode, maybe he would have behaved a little bit differently. But it certainly doesn't feel that way right now, because his reaction to Sean was really extreme. So I'm curious, I guess, how much of my choices actually really mattered. So those are my green criticisms. The good points of the game is, again, I like the addition of the new cast, the new characters. I liked how the game spent a lot of time getting to know those characters, and most of the story was interesting and fun, but then there were parts that were like, that just felt really forced, or it just felt like it had to go that way no matter what you said or did, because the plot needed to go in that direction, and it didn't matter what you said or did. It just, yeah, so that was the only thing. So what are you guys' thoughts on this particular episode? That was such a hard ending. I mean, WTF. I assume you'll be busy with Kingdom Hearts 3 and Persona 5, but I hope you get to play Rakuen soon. I've heard of that game several times, and I think you definitely have recommended to me. Rakuen, definitely a lot of games on my plate. I think there was a foreshadowing messed up stuffed animal earlier in the episode. Oh, yeah, the stuffed animal with the eye missing. That was interesting. That was very interesting parallel there. The lesson is, don't try to steal from drug dealers. I think that's a lesson that you should learn. Yeah, especially ones that are heavily armed. No matter how many power, I don't care how many powers you have. It's powers or no, that's not a good idea. Um, I almost feel bad for recommending doing nothing, but I just couldn't justify harming the farm owner. I couldn't justify it either. I couldn't justify it either because, I mean, he caught us in that situation and he had every right to be angry. He had, I mean, if somebody broke into my house and like, if someone broke into my house like that, then yeah, I'd be ticked off. I wouldn't necessarily shoot someone in cold blood, but I totally understand why he's ticked off. Totally get that. He was insufferable and needlessly strict at times, but he still employed people down on their luck and acted somewhat fairly whenever they stayed in line. Sean will be messed up after that. Not just his eye is gone, but also his character will change big time. Most likely. Finn effed up more because he pretty much encouraged Daniel for his own greed. What, Daniel wasn't high? I think you mean Finn. Yeah, I meant Finn that entire time. I wonder if things would have been different if Sean had romanced Finn. It would have influenced things to go differently. That would have been really interesting. Really interesting. This scene can play out so much different in so many ways. Yeah, well, let me know. Let me know in the comments how some ways... I don't necessarily want to watch every way right now. I'd rather just do that on my own, honestly. But if you want to verbally tell me some of the ways that it would have played out differently, I am curious about that. But I feel like the game's going to tell me. I feel like the game is going to tell me you and so many % of people had Finn dead, die, or whatever. I think it can go way worse on Daniel's anger level. Actually, I think there was a line from Sean in the beginning about his hoodie, like, they're probably going to bury me in this thing. Hopefully it doesn't end in his death, though I can totally see it being one of those endings. First see the decisions, then we can discuss it. That's a good idea. See, Liz Draconis, you're so good. You're so good about not spoiling. You're so good. Thank you, Draconis. You watch out for me. I appreciate that. I appreciate you trying very hard not to spoil anything for me. Liz Draconis is a model, setting a good example of what a good viewer who doesn't spoil thing is like. Thank you. No, it was rough. It was tough. I am wondering if the ending, this is going to be really dark, but I'm wondering if at the end there's a decision where Sean might have to sacrifice himself and he has to tell Daniel that he needs to let him sacrifice himself, or he needs to tell Daniel to, sort of like how at the end of The Walking Dead season 1 of Telltale Games, again, spoilers, I'm about to say spoilers, Telltale Games, Walking Dead season 1, when Lee asks Clementine to shoot him. I feel like it's going to be something a little bit similar to that, maybe at the end of this. Because with the way that the first season, the first Life is Strange 1 ended, I can really see something similar to that happening in Life is Strange 2. So, thanks, I appreciate you too, Hark. Sharing this experience as always. This is already the Chloe choice. That was already the Chloe choice, though. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Well, wouldn't put it past them to reuse it. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of reusing it, but it's different because I'm the one that's going... the main protagonist is the one that's going to die, not an NPC. So it's this time the PC will sacrifice himself or something. Daniel dying somehow and his powers passing on to Sean or Crit. Oh, that would be really horrible. Horrible. Soundtrack. That's another good thing. Another positive. Credit where credit is due for this episode. Soundtrack is very much on point with this game. And even the nudity I thought was tastefully done. Like, there was nudity at the beginning, and I appreciate people warning me about the nudity, but it wasn't like, you know, it was a girl walking around topless, and, you know, that was it. So I thought it was tastefully done. Did it do anything to the plot? Not necessarily, but it was fine. You made coffee for the others after drinking the last cup. Only 49%. Well, it's still pretty much 50-50. You hit the target while knife throw. Okay, so I did hit it. It's just Daniel cheated. You didn't hit the target while knife throwing. 0%. Really? 0%. You hit a bullseye while knife throwing. You tried to be understanding when Daniel mentioned Karen. 91%. You refused to talk about finding Karen. You asked Daniel why he doesn't wear his watch. 84%. You didn't mention the watch. 60%. You intervened when Big Joe slapped Cassidy. You didn't call Big Joe out. 24%. I wonder what the consequences of that would have been if it's for me not calling out Big Joe. You trimmed a lot of weed buds. 95%. All right. Your trimming was average, 3%. You didn't trim very efficiently, 2%. You helped Daniel clean the dishes, 73%. You didn't help Daniel with his chores. You didn't ask Daniel to help you with your chores. 93% didn't. All right. Yeah, I guess because I just didn't want him to use his powers. You asked Daniel to help you with his tanks and he refused. Only 1% asked Daniel to help him with the tanks and he accepted. Only 1%. You were sober at the campfire, 49%. You were wasted at the campfire, 51%. You went to sleep with Daniel, 2/3. A good majority, 2/3 went to sleep with Daniel, and the others stayed up and got a haircut. That sounds about right. You came forward when Daniel hit Big Joe, 66%. Finn came forward when Daniel hit Big Joe. Oh, Finn would have come forward, and maybe Finn would have gotten hit. You were in for the heist, 23%. You were out for the heist, 68%. You were eventually convinced to take part in the heist, only 9%. You and Finn remained friends, 80%. You and Finn kissed. Interesting. So you could have gotten a romance with Finn. Maybe if I accepted. I'm wondering if we would have kissed if I accepted the heist. That would have been really interesting. I kept feeling like Finn had a thing with Sean, but I wasn't 100% sure. So that is pretty cool that you could kiss Finn. That is really, really cool. I'm pleasantly surprised by that. Kind of wish it was Jacob, because Jacob, I felt, would not have told Daniel to go on a heist with him. Would have preferred Jacob. You didn't get a tattoo, only 14%. I'm in the minority. You chose to have a wolf tattooed, 60%. You let Cassidy choose your tattoo, 23%. You didn't follow Cassidy for a midnight swim, only 15%. Proud to be one of that 50%. Road less traveled is what I normally prefer in many of these decisions, if possible, and it makes sense. You went to the lake and had a midnight swim with Cassidy. Okay. Cassidy got angry at you, 13%. Cassidy didn't get angry at you. Oh, why would she have gotten angry at me? Oh, because I didn't swim with her, so since I didn't swim with her, then she couldn't get angry with me. You kissed Cassidy, 60%. You didn't kiss Cassidy, 35%, because I never went to swim with her. Cool. You didn't enter... Wow, this could have really gone further. You went into Cassidy, you didn't go into Cassidy. So, yeah. So wait a minute. I could have had this long scene with Cassie and also gone into Cassidy's tent, but you couldn't have done that with Finn. I don't know. That seems a little unbalanced to me. Just saying, it feels a bit unbalanced. You can have this big scene and then kiss and then go into the tent, but you can't do that with Cassidy, but you can't do that with Finn. I don't know how I feel about that. Seems a little unbalanced. You stole a vehicle without alerting Big Joe. Only 27%. You woke up Big Joe and he went after you, 13%. You sabotaged Big Joe's vehicle so he wouldn't come after you, 60%. 77%. You came in after Finn and Daniel broke into Meryl's house. You snuck into Meryl's house without being noticed. You alerted Meryl while sneaking into his house. Okay. Okay. Oh, there was a gun in Meryl's safe. You didn't take the gun from Meryl's safe. I wasn't giving that option. Maybe because we decided not to do the heist. So if we did the heist, maybe we would have gotten the gun. You shot Meryl and Finn was killed. So I shot Meryl and Finn would get killed, only 1%. You told Daniel to use his power and Finn wasn't killed. You did nothing and Finn wasn't killed. Interesting. I could do nothing and Finn could have not been killed. What would have caused Finn to not get killed, I wonder, if I did nothing? Cassidy was injured, 60%. Cassidy wasn't injured, 32%. Got it. Okay. It makes sense that the vast majority would tell Daniel to use his power. It makes sense. Daniel waited for you in the morning, 81%. Daniel didn't wait for you. Daniel did the dishes on his own. Daniel refused to help the dishes. Daniel had help doing the dishes, 70%. Daniel helped Sean carry the water tanks. Daniel wasn't asked to help with the tanks. Daniel refused to help with the tanks. He didn't refuse. I just never asked him. He didn't refuse. Daniel talked with Sean about his anger. 63%. Daniel went to sleep alone. Daniel used his power, got injured, and lashed out. It's 84%. Daniel disobeyed, used his power, and got injured. Daniel stayed put, lashed out after Finn died. Only 9%. Finn was shot dead, and Daniel lashed out at Sean. Interesting. Finn was shot dead, and Daniel lashed out at Sean. Daniel stayed put, but lashed out after Finn died. Daniel disobeyed, used his power, and got injured. Daniel used his power, got injured, and lashed out. Vast majority had Daniel use his power, got injured, and lashed out. So Daniel would have gotten injured. Had Daniel used his power, he would have gotten injured. But instead, Sean got injured. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know if any of my friends have done this yet. No choices. I don't have any friends. I have no friends. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I'm not. So I obviously am not happy with what happened at the end,
son.
but I stand by my choices
You're
still.
toast. End of the road.
Now we're in jail, and
No
I have,
way out this time.
and I don't have my eyesight.
We got a lot of room in jail for cop murderers like you.
I got caught. Didn't quite
You're
make it
alone now.
to Mexico.
Alone.
So we're in jail in the next episode. Oh my goodness. Episode 4. Until the next episode release, play the collectible mode to explore different paths without affecting your current progress. Collectible mode, I like that. Main menu. Wow. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of this episode. What are your thoughts? We'll start opening up questions for the Q&A. And again, for the Q&A, you can ask me really anything you want. So that was already the Chloe choice. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't put it past them to reuse it. Or Daniel dying somehow and his powers passing it on to Sean and Chris. But this time, the PC will sacrifice himself. There wouldn't be a way for you. Let's see. I mean, they can kill Daniel. He's a baby child. In Dragon Age Origins, it's happening too. The sacrificing thing, I mean, they killed a puppy, I guess. There would have been more if you took the bath with Cassie. It's nice that Sean can be canonically bi, but Finn wouldn't be my first choice. Yeah, Finn would not have been my first choice. Again, I would have totally totes paired Sean with Jacob in a heartbeat, because I feel like Jacob's a better fit for my Sean, at least. My Sean, my boy, my child Sean, and Daniel, my two boys. Can you imagine kissing him and then he dies though? Yeah, that would be rough. Finn has his plans in his head. No time for sex. That's true. Cassie is DTF and Finn is be gay, do crimes. That's a great way to put it. Be gay, do crimes. You will see in Daniel's choices. Sean gets injured anyway. Teaser time. I'll be your friend. Thank you, Zachary. Thank you. But then Finn doesn't die and Daniel ran away. I think next episode is going to be searching for Daniel, probably. I think it was great and the best so far. Yeah, sadly I gotta go. Enjoyed this. Take care, all. Talk to you later, Zachary. Thank you. I'm very much now really intrigued about what's going to happen in the third episode, the penultimate episode. That's the thing with this season is like I never know what to expect, like what the story of each episode is gonna be. They've been so vastly different from each other, and I just want Daniel and Sean to understand each other. It just seems like I am able to put them in these situations where they are bonding very intimately as brothers, and then Daniel's angry at Sean anyway. Like, Daniel flies off the deep end, and I'm all of a sudden the worst brother ever, regardless of how I handled the situations before. And that's the most frustrating thing about this season for me, is just the game just needs, in the plot, they just need Daniel to constantly be angry and in conflict with Sean. They just need it, regardless of as trying to be as perfect of a brother as I possibly can, given the choices that I have in this game. So here's a bit about the romances, how they played out. Okay, I don't know if you watched them already, but I recommend Jolly and Korean Englishman as a channel. They even have their Reverend friend as a guest too, and he's pretty cool. Chill. Cool. I will watch the romances. Oh gosh, this is a long one. This is a long romance. I don't know if I necessarily want to watch the whole thing right this moment, but I might do this like afterwards. But thank you for those videos, Liz Draconis. I just may not necessarily want to watch a 14-minute video at this very moment, but thank you. It was great watching this, Hark. I will probably be heading straight onto one of your Persona videos, but for now, Mark out. Thank you, Mark, so much. Thank you, Mark, so much for watching, and do not feel bad for suggesting what I ended up choosing. I actually like that I ended up with an ending that many of you didn't see, that many of you haven't seen before, and I accept, just like Finn should have, I accept the consequences of my choices. I made my bed, and I'm gonna lie on it. You know, it would be hypocritical of me not to. I made the choices that I made, and I'm accepting the consequences of those choices. And that's just how this game works. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, love yourselves and love each other. Rest in peace, Finn.